Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Steph Hayli Show. It has been a hot minute since we have gotten another episode. And I think this is only our second one since Hunt's been born, right? Yeah. So thanks for being patient with us. But we are very happy you're here. If you guys are new here and you've never seen one of our podcast episodes, basically this is a dedicated hour and a half-ish where Steph and I just talk about life. We talk about our kids. We talk about being parents. Talk about everything and anything. It's just kind of like our little catch-up time because we're both parents and this is a huge part of our life now, so we like talking about it.
Okay, I need you to smile really quickly for the camera. Okay,
are you taking a picture
yes.
for social? Oh, okay.
Okay, cute.
Okay. It's always so awkward when that happens.
It's quick though. It's like a snippy snap.
Yeah. So so first of all, how was your weekend, Steph?
It was good. Friendsgiving was awesome. The food was delicious. Friendship was always the best.
Mm-hmm.
So much is changing so quickly right now. I feel like we've blinked and the last month has been very huge leaps and bounds for Cohen. He's walking now. He's communicating differently now. We're just now into this weird nap thing that's going on, and our whole lives are kind of it's just like you said. As soon as you get to, but the hard part is we've been in a really good routine since he was about 5 months old. There's been a couple leaps sprinkled in there where he's definitely been fussier than normal, clingier than normal, and we've gone through it, but his sleep has always been great. So day 2,
and you guys have been adamant about that too.
Yes.
You have been very sticklers on his nap schedule.
Yes, because it's really important to us, and it's important to my sanity to have a little bit of that dependency. So I'm a little nervous to see if this is a thing that's gonna keep happening. But you said Hazel dropped a nap at 10 months. Usually they drop a nap at 14 months. So he's approaching 12
did it really
months.
Early, and it was completely fine. In fact, so if you guys are unfamiliar with kids and nap schedules, babies typically, older babies typically take about 2 naps a day. And then around the 1 year mark, give or take a little bit, they drop from 2 naps to 1 nap a day. And that 1 nap ends up getting condensed into 2 to 3 hours, which is really nice for literally everybody involved. So Hazel, we dropped her second nap pretty early. It was at 10 months just because she was just fighting that second one so hard. And so I asked her pediatrician, I was like, hey, I know this is pretty early. What do you think? And her pediatrician was very much like, hey, if she doesn't need that second nap, don't force it on her. And so we condensed it into 1, and she, I would say she's been like that ever since, but she's pretty much officially done napping now. So,
oof.
Big oof. Not sure how we feel about that yet. So that's going to be, I think once you guys cross that bridge, which sounds like it may come soonish for you.
I don't know. He's just I don't know. We'll see. I feel confident that this is just a blip, and we'll
probably. It's only been a couple days.
It's only today's day 2. So usually, and it's not like it hasn't happened in the past. Sometimes he naps only for an hour in the morning, and then he makes up those hours at night. So in the afternoon nap. So the goal, at this age, the goal is 3 hours of daytime napping and then 12 hours of sleep at night. And he gets usually between 2.5 and 3.5 hours, depending on the day and how his night went. But he's usually really good. He's usually on the dot 3 hours in the first nap and 1 hour in the second nap. But once in a while, he'll have a weird, nap thing, or he'll be sick or whatever, and he'll do a 1 hour nap in the morning and then a 2 hour nap at night. But it's and again, he slept for a full hour. It was 55 minutes for the first one. So if he can make up if he can get at least an hour in the afternoon, I would not be as upset about it. But the fact that he's sleeping for 30 minutes, I'm just no.
Yeah, I would give it more time. I would wait and just see how he responds to it. And then if he wanted to try just doing 1 nap a day and see how he responds to that. And if he's a total stellar champion and it works for him, then maybe you just get to do it a little bit early.
He's never really napped longer than 2.5 hours though, so we'll see.
Yeah, I know. Once he gets to that point though, I'm telling you, oh my God, I miss it already. Yeah, Friendsgiving was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's like the perk of having everybody up here together.
I have to admit, I was a little nervous because of how far away they live from us.
Yeah.
So our friends are about an hour away from where we live. And, you know, I imagine with 2 little children, that's a lot to handle. It's really the first time we've ever shoved Cohen in the car for that long. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go because we were like, again, juggling with like nap schedules and stuff like that. And we are pretty strict with it when it comes to when Cohen goes down and stuff. So we were like, okay, we planned it. As soon as we got to the house, we were going to put him down for a nap and then he'd be up for like dinner and everything like that. Well, we got to the house. It was a new house. There was a lot of people. Cohen was not okay in the room by himself. He was just like, you could tell he was like kind of freaked out and a little scared about it. So we ended up pulling him, and I was like, oh, we'll try again in another 30 minutes, and we'll whatever. But 30 minutes went by, and an hour went by, and then 2 hours went, and he was just so good. He was so perky and happy, and he was running around playing with Miss Hayes and playing on his walker and chirping and talking to everyone, and he just never had a moment where I was like, uh-oh, he's like melting down. He needs a nap. He was just great the whole time. And then he fell asleep on our car ride home, and I was like, shit. Is this going to be a whole thing, or now he doesn't have sleep pressure, so we get him home and he's going to like be like wide awake.
Yeah.
No, we got him home, put him in jammies, gave him a bottle, and he went right to sleep. And I was like, yay. But then now we're paying for it in the napping. So
I mean, yeah, but you never know if that really was the reason or not.
Yeah.
Like it could have just been weirdly timed.
Yeah. True. But I feel like more likely than not,
because that's the only change.
Well, and I mean, the other thing is he's really walking now, Haley. Like on a daily.
Oh, it's walking, everyone! This is so exciting.
Yes, like he
full on walking.
Yeah, I mean, he's still not walking more than he's crawling, but every time he's standing there and he turns instead of sitting down and going into a crawl, he stands there for a moment and then he like kind of judges it, and then if it's a short distance, if it's like a cabinet to a cabinet or like me to the fridge or something like that, he will walk it. If it's a longer distance, like from the kitchen to the living room, he'll like take 2 steps and then crawl the rest of the way.
Not for long.
I know.
Once he gets more confident and comfortable and like knows his ability and is able to start doing that, oh dude, then it turns into running, then it just escalates from there.
I know. I don't know if I'm ready. Yeah, he's also dancing. We play Michael Jackson every morning and he starts boogieing. And even if he's in a sitting position, he'll like twerk. It's really cute.
Oh yeah. I remember playing I can't remember what song it was. Was it Senorita, I think, by Shawn Mendes? And Hazel would like shake her little butt. It's so cute watching toddlers dance. Yeah. If you need to pick me up during the day, just watch videos of babies dancing, chat. It's life changing.
It is really good. Oh God, it just happens so fast. I cannot believe he's gonna be a toddler in like 3 weeks.
His first birthday.
I know.
Are you excited?
Yes, very. But also, it's like bittersweet. Yeah. My little baby's not little anymore. He's walking. He's talking.
A big boy. I was trying to remember like what Hazel even looked like at 1 year. Like the beautiful thing about
I sent you that video.
iPhones,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, is that I can go back and I can literally put in a very specific date and see what photos were taken at that date. Or like I can search my messages because I never delete my messages, and I can go back to like 2018, 2019 when she was a baby and like see like what she was doing. That's like when you asked me when we took the binky, that's how I found out. Was I went back to my messages and I literally looked up the word binky because I was like, I'm sure I told someone about it.
Right.
And I found when we did it. And so like sometimes I'll just go back and be like, what was she doing at 1 year? Where was she at?
We've definitely eliminated Binky from his daytime routine, but he still very much wants it when he's sleeping. Yeah. And I don't know if 12 months is too early just to like cold turkey.
You could try. I mean, the way that we did it, Steph, with Hazel was so funny. It was not planned. It was like our bedtime routine or nap time routine, because I think I took it at nap time, was we'd go into her room, I'd turn the lights off, I'd feed her, and then we'd cuddle for a little bit. I'd hold her to my shoulder and we'd rock back and forth. And then usually I would give her her binky and she would settle with that. I'd put her in her crib and she'd go to sleep. And I think I was sitting on the binky, and I forgot. I was like, "Ugh, this is gonna be awkward to give it to her. And so I just didn't. Just didn't give it to her, and she didn't ask for it. And so I put her in her bed, and she fell asleep. Oh, speak of the devil.
He's
Hey,
very
Coco.
upset. You're very upset right now.
Oh, is he mad?
Yeah, we tried to let him sort it out himself, see if he'd go back down, and he was not into it.
I know. He wants mama. Hi, Cohen. Hey, Cohen. I know. He looks so upset.
Oh, baby.
It's so funny looking at you holding him because it's like the same face twice. It's really weird.
I know. It's just, especially like my baby photos.
I know.
Like
it's the same baby.
Yeah. I showed Brennan a different one that I don't think he's seen before, and he goes, I legitimately thought that was a photo of Cohen. I was like, no, that's me.
Yep. It's the same face, just twice. Can't relate.
Yeah, but Hazel
Rick can relate.
looks a lot more like you now than she did as a baby.
What?
Said Hazel looks a lot more like you now than she did when she was a baby.
Depending on who you ask. I mean, yeah, she looked a lot like Rick as a baby, but even now, we did like the not copy paste, but like photos of me as a toddler next to her as a toddler, and then Rick as a toddler next to her as a toddler.
I still think she looks more like you because she's so fair. Rick's so dark.
Coloring wise, yeah, she definitely looks more like me, but her eyes and nose are Rick, and the eyes and the nose are two very defining features on someone's face. And so everything else is me. Like, she has my smile, she has my eyebrows, she has my coloring, but yeah, other than that, it's Rick. And then Hunt, I'm not even gonna bother trying to see if he looks like me. I think he's just, we'll see. It's too early to really tell. I think he might have my nose.
Yeah.
But Rick and I have such similar noses that it really doesn't make a difference. So I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. The Baez genes are very strong. So
yeah,
lucky Rick is handsome.
So Brennan can relate. I tell him all the time. I'm like, look, he might look like me, but at least his first word is dada. So
that's very true.
He said
I think
mama,
Hazel's was too.
He said
dada.
mama first, just once, and then. Well, and most people I talk to say dada is first because it's a tongue word, and lip words are harder for them to learn because it's like ma sound versus a dada.
Oh,
like,
yeah, you're right.
He loves using his tongue. Da 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 da.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I have a video I took of Hazel when she was 10 months, and she kept saying dada, and I was like, "Can you say mama?" And she goes, Dad!
Yeah.
It's like, all right, dad, I get it. Like, F me, right?
Do you see his face?
He's so handsome, Chad. Now I want my baby to come up here. He's downstairs with Rick right now.
No, because he does it in the middle of the night too, and he has he's got the.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, Dada's right there.
So big, you guys. He's such a big baby. How has the Rick Hunt bonding been going?
Oh, you
better?
Want some mama.
We're improving, slowly but surely.
I feel like it bothers Rick more than he'll admit.
Probably. I mean, it has been getting better over the last few days. Like, he'll hold him, and Rick will, like, do the dad thing, and Hunt will kind of quiet down. And as long as Hunt will just chill in him quietly, it's a success. Yeah. But I think when he gets full on screaming mode,
yes,
I still end up with him at the end of the day. Although yesterday I took the dogs to the dog park while he was napping and came back, and Rick was texting me. He's like, he's hungry, come back. And so I came home. And literally in my text messages, I'm talking to Rick, and Rick's like, what did he say? He goes, Hunt is hungry. How long are you going to be? This boy's something else. And I was like, 5 minutes. He goes, okay, I'll hold off this monster. Pray for me. Like, going full meltdown. But I came home and he was quiet. So I'm like, okay, you did it. You comforted a hungry baby. That's pretty impressive for a guy who says that his kid hates him.
what did he say when we were at Thanksgiving? He was like, I swear this kid acts like I'm stabbing him in the eyeballs when I'm just trying to change his diaper.
Yep, sounds about right. He's already very comfortably in size 2 diapers.
That's insane. Your baby is massive.
He's just chunky. He's just a chunk. He's got some little rolls coming in on his legs. Like
I think I'm starting to accept that my kid will always just be a lean
boy.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's the thing. Every baby grows at a different rate. And if he has your metabolism, like you naturally are a very like thin, lean person.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that
I was looking at it. I'm like the same size as him. So
yeah.
But I mean, it's hard when you obviously every mom says don't compare your child, but it's hard when you see, all these babies with these like chunky thighs and these like cute rolls, and you're like, okay, my kid doesn't have that. Is he underweight? Is he okay? No. And like, just even if I gave this kid like 1 billion calories, he is so active.
Yeah.
He is never not running around. Even when he's sitting right here, he's smacking the stuff and kicking his legs. He's just like constantly moving.
You guys should see Cohen with Hunt. It's really cute.
Oh my gosh, he loves Hunt. Let's see if he'll walk on camera. Ready? You want to go to Dada? Go Dada.
See
Buck,
it. You got it, buddy. You got it. He's distracted by the computer.
Come towards me? Well, he really wants mama.
Walk to mama.
No.
Oh, meltdown.
What's the matter?
Oh.
You want mama?
My heart. He took a couple steps though.
Oh man, he's like full on. He's full on. It's just
I know.
crazy. We'll turn around and he's just like, and when kids are this age and they're walking, they just look so drunk. He's like,
They really do look like drunk little kids.
He's so top heavy, and his like arms are up here, and he's just maniacally laughing the whole time. Yeah,
The laughter kills me.
Well, you are.
Oh yeah, did you and I want to start a squad stream?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oops, professional streamers, guys.
You want to flip?
Bad channel.
1,
Bad stuff.
2, 3. Yeah.
I just sent the invite.
Can you clap, clap, clap?
But yeah, Rick and Hunt are working on it slowly but surely. They're getting there. It's it's a process. He's definitely a mama's boy, but that's okay.
I'm gonna give you to Daddy.
I think I've just decided that I really like the 0 to 6 months age, because I can I don't know, it's very organic and natural, at least for me.
I think my favorite stage so far is 6 to 12.
Oh yeah, because they're doing more.
Well, not just
Of
that,
course.
they have a personality, and like
Mhm.
my biggest thing, and now I appreciate it more now that he's mobile. But I remember being like, I cannot do anything unless I baby wear him, because he is a potato. And my kid was not your kid. My kid didn't sleep super well and consistently. Cohen would nap for 33 minutes at a time when he was Hunt's age, right? So
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's why it's kind of crazy to me and Brennan when we see how much Hunt sleeps, because that was not Cohen. Cohen was awake and like active and chirping and stuff like that, and he would only nap for 31 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And he would nap more frequently, but they were shorter naps, and then he'd be up for a full 45-minute wake window and doing stuff. And so we were unable just to get stuff done, because we were trying to, for sure. I mean, yeah, he wasn't napping well in his snoo during the day, so we would put him in a bassinet and then be watching him. And I don't know, we're not really able to get a lot done, so it was very hands-on with him throughout all of his naps until, again, the 5 months, I will say, was the most transformative for us, because we just
Sleep training.
said F it, and we were we're gonna sleep train. Well, I did, because Brendan didn't really actually participate in the sleep training part, which I'm so jealous about, but you know, just changed everything. And then his daytime naps were great, and his night sleep was great. Like, I still read, because we follow so many moms on social media and mommy bloggers and like mom accounts and whatever sleep accounts and all that stuff, and it's like, mommy, you'll get your uninterrupted nights of sleep back, and like their kids, like, you know, 17, 18 months, and I'm like,
it's just mean. It feels mean to everybody involved. It feels mean to the kid. It feels mean to the mom and dad. Like, no one's sleeping. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't make
for
sense to me.
I'm like, dude, it's been a solid 6 months since I've been sleeping through the night, so I feel, you know, grateful.
Definitely grateful. That's the thing, is everybody's going to make their own decision for what's best for them and their kids. Like, I get it. There's this weird aversion that some people have to sleep training. I hear it, but
and it might not work for every kid, right? Like, we got lucky and he responded really well to it.
Right.
You know, every kid's different, but yeah, for us, I'm just, if I could give past me a high five, it would be for that.
Oh yeah. I think when you ultimately, like, every parent has to make their own decisions for certain things, right? That's normal, and I'm never gonna judge or shame or like question how other people choose to raise their kids or what they do. But ultimately, like, we did the same thing with Hazel, and it was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
that's how it felt for me. Also, I'm pretty sure the battery on my mouse just died. I switched to a wireless mouse, and I really like it, but I don't know I don't know what to do now that it looks like it died.
Does your wireless mouse go on a dock?
No,
because usually even if it's wireless, there's still a place, like, you can still stick a cable in there and charge it, and it'll just be wired while it's charging.
Yeah, I do have the wire thing. I don't have like a dock for it though. That's probably what I'll end up having to do, is just plug it in. That's fine. Rip mouse. Sorry, chat. But yeah, and we'll see. Like, once that time comes with Hunt, I mean, we're lucky. He is a really, really sleepy baby. And I think part of it might just be because he's a big boy. Like, from what I understand, once babies get older and they weigh more, that's what helps them stay asleep longer. And so that could be why, because he's just a big freaking baby, right?
Yeah.
But right now he is, like, I haven't told chat this yet, actually, but we just started moving him to his crib for nap time. At least most of the time. Like, right now he's gonna nap downstairs with Rick because I'm streaming. But what a rock star. Like, totally fine. I put him down, I set up the baby monitor in there. We can look at it on our phone, like, everything's great. And he doesn't even need us to, like, rock him I'll put him in there awake and he will fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And because babies are so sleepy at this age,
yeah,
it's a lot easier because, you know, they're gonna get used to not needing help to fall asleep. And so
well, it's not getting used to, it's actually a learning skill. Yeah.
Learning, exactly. So we had his 2-month checkup, and he was 14 pounds 2 ounces, I think.
I'm gonna look right now.
Yeah, he was chunky. And so his doctor was like, honestly, the best thing you can do for him right now is, you know, if sleep training is something you decide to do, is teach him how to fall asleep on his own. And so, like, get him a little milk jump. When you see him tired, you see the sleepy cues, you just lay him in bed. And if he needs help going to sleep, you know, you can put your hand there, you can talk to him and let him drift off on his own. And I'm like,
4 months, Haley.
Okay. 4 months is when he was that weight. When was Hazel that weight?
4 months is when he weighed like 14 pounds.
Let me see.
Your kid is like 2 months old, 2.5 months. That's
so
crazy.
Hazel, let's see. I love this app. You use a baby tracker app, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same one I use. I love this thing. So she was 14. No, wait. Okay, so November, she was 13 pounds, 15 ounces. So July to August, September, October, November. Yeah, so Hazel was 4 months too.
Which is, like, if I'm looking at the percentages, he was like, yeah, he's like kind of average at that point.
But like to be fair, yeah, Hazel boys are typically bigger than girls, so I can't really compare Hazel and Hunt because like Hazel that's probably big for her too because she's a girl and girls are naturally not as big as boys. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to compare them both, but I do
Yeah,
feel very
but
validated and justified with how big my kid is because of how fucking hard my pregnancy was. So every time I see how big he is, I'm like, bitch better be. That heartburn better have been worth it. That pelvic
that's
pain
not
better have
even
justified his
that's
weight.
not the weight though. That's the hair, dog. He is
The heartburn was the hair.
you were like you're like, man, his heartburn's so killer, and he comes out like the full
Fucking
head of
Chewbacca,
hair.
like this hairy ass baby. He still has hair like on the backs of his ears, like in little random places. It's actually really cute, actually.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it all makes sense. I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer that there's a direct correlation between heartburn and hair. I don't care what anyone says. I will die on that hill.
There's no way there isn't. I had barely any heartburn, and Cohen is bald, so.
That's true. And Hazel, she was kind of hairy, and I had like moderate heartburn, so I guess that does make sense. Her hair is getting long. I'm debating if I should like see if she wants to get a haircut soon. She's never had one before.
Rick full head of hair when he was born?
Mm-hmm. Not nearly as much as Hunt, but he did have hair.
Mm.
I think I was bald. I don't think I had hair for a while.
Super bald, and so is Brennan. So Cohen didn't stand a chance. Although his hair is coming in, like
it is. He's getting it.
I think he's gonna have a mullet for a while, but he's got hair coming in the back for sure. Just nothing on top.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, what else do we have to update the world on? I'm trying to think. Oh, I haven't told everybody about my mom yet.
Oh, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, chat. So I've told my chat about my quarrels with my unvaccinated family members. So they know that my mom is unvaccinated. And what most of them don't know is that my mom caught COVID. Yup. It finally got her. So please get vaccinated. Just going to say that to everyone. Please get fucking vaccinated. Like, weird how a pandemic will actually eventually infect you if you decide not to and you don't use normal safety precautions. Anyway.
How's she doing?
I haven't talked to her today. So let me go back and see what she said to me when she first told me. So yeah, my mom texted me while we were all at Friendsgiving that she had COVID. So shout out to her for that timing. All she did was send me a screenshot of her positive test. She said her symptoms are everything except for the fever. She said her symptoms are changing daily, but she said no chest pain, but she's got a lot of congestion when she coughs. Her O2 is at 93.
At least she has an O2 machine. I guess that's good.
Yeah. I'm really glad she does. So I said, when did you start showing symptoms? She said, Monday with a cough. Greg, who's my sister's fuck buddy, basically, had symptoms during the night on Sunday. Fever 103, chills and vomiting. My mom said she slept on the couch, had no symptoms until the next morning, had been sitting next to him on the sofa all day and night before bed. It came on so suddenly. He had a home test that day and showed positive. So I texted her yesterday and said, how are you feeling? She said, just woke up, felt bad around 5 a.m. So took Tylenol, lorazepam, and a heating pad and went back to bed. Had a fever for a while, but I think it's gone. And I haven't talked to her yet today.
Well, that's good. I mean, the scariest part of COVID is your O2 levels plummeting. So.
Right. Well, I talked to Karina. So if you guys didn't know, my mother-in-law is an ER nurse. And so when I told my in-laws, she called me and was like, tell me about your mom. What are her symptoms? And so God bless my mother-in-law. She's just a wonderful woman. And she was like, well, if she needs to keep an eye on her O2, if it drops below 93 for like over an hour, she needs to go to the hospital. That or if her fever goes above 102. Because my mom is old. Chat, if you guys don't know, my mom is 72 and lives in Arizona, which has no mask mandate whatsoever. Did you know that stuff? That Arizona literally has nothing in place to combat COVID-19? Like no restrictions, no mask mandates, no capacity limits, no social distancing. It doesn't exist in Arizona. Did you know if you go to Arizona, COVID-19 isn't real? Isn't that funny? So funny how that works.
Did you see that? I think it was senator or I don't know, councilman.
Paul Gosar? Are you talking about the stupid anime thing that he did?
Yeah. I watched it first and I was like, there's no fucking way. And then I looked at what state he was from and I was like, okay, it makes more sense now.
Well, also Paul Gosar is like, he's more Arizona than Arizona is. Like he's just, dude's nuts. His own family has like disassociated with him entirely. They're like, this man is crazy. We don't think you should vote for him. So I don't take him super seriously. But
I mean, but he's still a representative of
I
the
know.
state. Like, that's fucking, like, he
I
was voted
know.
for at one point. You know what I'm saying? That's bonkers.
It's really, really weird.
If you guys didn't
I
know,
don't know. And now that I don't live there, so like for instance, I went to that comedy show last week, and one of the comedians was like, "Yeah, so I was in Arizona the other day," and she starts telling us about like how fucking crazy it was to be in Arizona in this Uber, and like how like the fact that she wore a mask, the guy thought that was super weird that she was wearing one. And just starts talking about it like it's another entirely other
Dimension.
like continent because it's so bonkers. I'm like, it's so interesting to hear people talk about my home state while not being in my home state. I wanted to apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't live there anymore, but I'm sorry.
Bonkers.
Yeah,
You guys should go look at his Twitter.
It's scary.
It's like an old white dude trying to do memes.
Yeah.
But
that's
failing
exactly what it is.
miserably and being extremely offensive. Like, it's just really weird. Like, he literally did a meme and was like, got anime, and he like really badly like photoshopped him as like Attack on the Titan characters, and then he like assassinates Biden at one point, and you're just like, you're like, how is this real? How is there no repercussions?
Well, and that's the scary thing. Like I think, and correct me, people will know more about this than I will, but I guess for the infrastructure plan that was passed by the House, there were like I think 13 representatives from the Republican side who voted to pass it, and they got destroyed by like all of their fellow Republicans were like going in on them for voting to pass this bill. And even Biden was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, since when is bipartisanship a sign that you should just like remount other members of your party? Like, is suddenly politics you only vote party lines? Like, it's really kind of scary to think about, because what lies in the future of our country if that's the case, right? Like, I don't know. It's really intimidating to think about. But especially with the COVID-19 stuff, like I know that, was it Texas that said that they were going to repeal all mask mandate? Greg Abbott, I think, was like, yeah, you're not allowed to have a mask mandate in schools. That was struck down due to a violation for people who have underlying conditions, I think. And if anybody can like send the actual accurate information on that, but like basically if people have underlying conditions or a disability of any kind, like, and they're put at further risk because there's no form of protection like with masks and stuff. So Texas be Texas, man. Like, at least Arizona's bad, but I don't know if we're Texas bad. Although I will say it's pretty close. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I mean, I don't know. Washington and Oregon have some pockets for sure, but for the most part, when we go out, people are following the mandate. So,
well, we have mandates.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But there's still still go some places, and you're like,
yeah. Remember when I went to Walmart,
Which,
and there was like this lady in front of me who just straight up wasn't wearing a mask, and I'm like, this is awkward.
Yeah. So where we live, it's full mask mandate in indoor places. So when you see someone not in a mask, it's actually weirder.
And you know what's so interesting to me is like, well, and that's the other thing. So with my mom being sick, I'm like, okay, and not to get morbid on you guys, but this really is my thought process. Like, my mom is old. Okay. And with the Delta variant, like I know that this is a very lethal variant of the coronavirus. The coronavirus itself already was killing people, but this is even worse. So in my head, I'm like, what if she dies? Right? Like, what if she dies? And so I'm thinking, I'm like, well, if she goes to the hospital, it's not like I can visit her. They don't allow visitors if you have COVID or in the hospital at all. So then I'm thinking, do I fly down there? Like, but with the potential of her going to the hospital, but then like I have a newborn son, I'm breastfeeding. I can't be around like my kids if I've just been around a COVID positive person. So like, how does
Yeah.
that work? And I mean, mind you, I don't know that I've talked about this on stream yet, but I did get my booster shot at Hunt's 2-week checkup. And so I'm like, okay, well, at the very least, I'm triple vaxxed, right? If at least I'm safe. But like, I felt helpless. It's like, what do you do if I never see my mom again if she dies, but I also can't risk my kids' health.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then it just makes me mad. Like, there's a vaccine right fucking there.
Yeah.
And she was gonna get it. Like she and I had a conversation because we've been talking things over. We work in our relationship. I told her if she wants to meet her grandson, like she's welcome to come visit. But the rule is she needs to be vaccinated. And she was like, okay, I'll do it. And she made every excuse under the sun for why she hadn't gotten it done yet. And what do you know? She got COVID before she could get vaccinated. So
I am very grateful that both my parents are triple vax. They have gotten their booster shots also. And yeah, I mean,
that can't be real. Tyler said, my mom hit me with the, if it's my time, it's my time, the last time we discussed it.
Your mom lives in Texas, right, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she does.
Not to stereotype,
like, why? Why would you just accept death instead of getting a vaccine? Like, what? What? That literally makes my brain swell inside my head.
Yeah.
Oh, they're in Washington now. Oh, I didn't know that.
Did I know that?
No, I didn't at least. I'm so sorry, Tyler.
Is this a recent? We can talk about that later. But yeah, I don't understand that either. The thing that frustrates me the most about COVID is that it's so inconsistent with symptoms and all that stuff, right? If it was like the flu, where if you get the flu, you're getting a fever, you're getting aches, you're getting chills, like whatever.
Right.
And like, obviously the severity of it changes, but your flu symptoms are flu symptoms for everyone, right? What frustrates me about COVID is that it literally can range from asymptomatic, where you have no symptoms, to all these like small peppers in between, all the way up to like you can't fucking breathe because your lungs are like debilitated and you can't get oxygen.
I'm listening.
To
I'm
your
plugging
brain.
my mouse in. Keep going.
You're good. So like, it's really hard when you have skeptics who are not willing to listen to the science of it and understand. Like, everyone is an adult and is free and able to make their own decisions, right? But it's really hard to accept when people are willing to put themselves and others in danger because their rationalization is, well, my friend had no symptoms and my other friend just had a stuffy nose, and so it's not going to be that bad.
And here's what I'll say is, assuming that my mom is okay and that she makes it out and recovers from it and is fine, I really hope that it's enough for her to say, okay, I'm going to go get vaccinated now.
Well,
like, I'm hope.
But the other end of that spectrum, and a lot of COVID positive people say, well, I already tested.
I have antibodies,
yes,
so I don't need it.
Exactly. I already got COVID. I don't need a vaccine because I already am immune now. It's just like Aaron Rodgers. He's like, I'm immunized. Like I have antibodies, so I don't need to get vaccinated because, we already did it. We went through it. And it's just.
Yeah. And that's the struggle too, right? Is like, my mom agreed to get vaccinated, and now that she has it, like, do I still say you still need to get vaccinated? Like, because realistically, there's a certain period of time between when you've had COVID and when you're able to even get the vaccine. Like, it has to be after a certain period of time. If chat can fill me in on when that time period is, I would really appreciate it. So it's like, do I wait until that 3-month period and then she gets vaccinated and then she can come? Or do I say, okay, well, it's safe for you to come right now since you just, well, right now, obviously, but like enough time after she's over it, and then say, okay, you can come visit now that you have, like, I don't know. What do you think?
I almost would go the approach of saying, hey, Mom, were you really scared when you got COVID? Like, was it frightening to you, like, not knowing what was going to happen? Because if your answer is yes, even a little bit, you need to absolutely get vaccinated, because the point of the vaccine isn't to stop you from getting COVID completely. It's to stop you from being
getting super
hospitalized and dying from COVID.
Yes.
So, you know, like if you had any little bit of fear, even a little bit, that's a reason to protect yourself, because just because you've had COVID once doesn't mean that you can't get COVID again. Just because you've been vaccinated doesn't mean you can't get the virus. It just means you won't die from it. It is 100. Right. All 3 vaccines have 100% efficacy for not being severely hospitalized and ending in death. You can still have flu-like symptoms and you can still get sick, but you're not going to die from it. Right?
Yeah. So I'm reading on the CDC website. Have you heard of these monoclonal antibodies?
Yeah. That's what Trump got when he got COVID. Yeah.
So I don't know, like, people on Facebook were telling my mom to go get those, and I don't know if she's done it or not. But on the CDC website, it says if you were treated for COVID-19 with monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma, you should wait 90 days before getting a COVID vaccine.
I think it's really expensive to get
Is it?
Yeah.
Has anybody heard more about this? In my hospitals, I have yet to have a patient die who had the vaccine. Monoclonal antibodies are really only effective within 48 hours of symptoms. It's expensive as fuck. One of my subs, he's
$2,100 per infusion.
I wonder how many infusions it usually takes.
I don't know.
Wow. I wonder if I should text my mom and ask her. I need to ask how she's feeling anyway.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers got the monoclonal antibodies. All the very big celebrities.
I wonder, does insurance cover that?
I don't think so. 6 months is when you need your booster for Pfizer and Moderna. If you've had your shot for 2 months for J&J, you can get a booster and you can mix and match, which is what I did. So I got J&J because it was the only shot available at the time. It was perfectly great. I felt fine. I didn't get any blood clots or weird shit like that, and I didn't catch COVID. I haven't had any COVID symptoms. I've tested negative every time I've had COVID. I still decided to go with the Pfizer booster, so now I have both mRNA and the J&J delivered vaccine.
So the outpatient cost and coverage for monoclonal antibody treatments. What is the cost of the monoclonal antibody products to the patient? It's important to note that the cost of the product and the cost to administer the product are separate. Because the federal government has purchased a supply of certain monoclonal antibody treatments, there's no cost to the patient for the antibody products themselves. However, there may be costs incurred from administration of the product. Checking insurance coverage is advised. So it probably just...
That's why.
Oh, is infusion administration covered by Medicare? Yes, Medicare is covering costs for infusion administration.
I think you have to show certain symptoms to qualify, though. So, like, if your mom's O2 did plummet, then she would probably be, what is it called? Eligible.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's the thing is people are saying it has to be within like 72 hours. Because Karina, again, when I was on the phone with her, said the same thing. She was like, I don't know, like if your mom's been showing symptoms since Monday, then she shouldn't, I don't think she'll qualify. Like, it won't do anything for her because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, Strat, her O2 last I checked was 93. I don't know where it's at right now. But yeah, so speaking of the booster though, this is important because I feel like, so, okay, what Steph was saying is that if you got J&J, you can get your booster now. But if you had Moderna or Pfizer, you have to be 65 and older or have underlying conditions. So the reason I was able to get my booster, you would think that having an infant would qualify you for the booster, given that the baby gets the antibodies from the breast milk. Or being pregnant, you would think that would qualify you. I think actually in Oregon and Washington, if you are pregnant,
Yes,
that might qualify you.
It does qualify you.
Yeah. So, but I took Hunter checkup, and we all go to the same doctor. And so I was talking to her about when the vaccine will be approved for young children and like if infants are involved in the study. And I casually mentioned, I was like, yeah, I'm at that 6-month mark where it's been 6 months since my second dose. Like I could get the booster, but I don't qualify. I'm not old enough. And she looked at me and she was like, do you have any underlying, like anything that could put you at risk? Have you ever smoked in your life? And I was like, no. She's like, what about your BMI? Is your BMI any less than perfect? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I've got like 18 pounds of extra baby weight. Like it's definitely not perfect. She was like, awesome, that counts. And I just happened to have my vaccine card on me. And so she was like, great, I'll go get it. And so the reason I tell you guys that is, you know, you really should talk to your doctor and ask if like what they consider to be an underlying condition, because I think it really depends on your provider. So if you guys if it has been 6 months since your second dose and you are eligible to go in that just because of that time frame, call your doctor and see if you can get your booster, because
I mean,
I think it makes it even higher than it was after the second dose, right? With the antibodies.
Yeah.
It's like crazy effective.
It's like 6 times more effective. But I would even say, so all of the major pharmacies right now, you can book online appointments, and it was like 2 clicks. I did it on Walgreens. It's like, you know, down the street from my house. And it was like, which vaccine did you have? And I was like, J&J. And they're like, great. What day do you want to get your vaccination? Which one? And I was like, click Pfizer, click this day. And they're like, okay, see you then. And that was it.
Yeah.
I got there. They didn't even ask for my insurance card. They didn't ask for anything. They just sat me down, said, did you have any side effects to your last one? You understand the And then they're like, here's the shot. And then I got my flu shot the same day too. So I'm extra vaxxed right now. Super vaxxed.
We love it. We love to see it. And also pro tip, because I've talked about this before, but I am really bad with injections. I hate, it's not even needles anymore. It used to be needles, but now I can deal with my blood being drawn. I can get tattoos fine. Like that's not an issue. It really is just injections. A pro tip that I get every time from the nurses is to relax your arm, like to the point where you're basically slouching.
I mean, I did that
when you get the injection.
It was so painful.
It still hurt. No, but here's the difference: is my first shot, I completely forgot to do that, and I was so anxious and so freaked out over it that I was really tense, and that I was probably sore for like 2-3 days. This time, I was fully relaxed, and I was still sore, but it was like maybe a day total, and I was better by day 2. So it does make a difference. So if you don't want to deal with the soreness, but I'll tell you what, I had all 3 shots. Sore arm was my only symptom.
Yeah,
I did not have any other side effects. And I know that the COVID vaccine is known for giving side effects that make people hesitant to get it. But 1, I'm living proof that there's no guarantee that you will get side effects. And 2, I guarantee you the side effects from the COVID vaccine are not nearly as bad as COVID is itself. So,
how do you say this word, right?
Malaise.
I felt
so loud.
Malaise when I had my my booster.
What is malaise?
A general feeling of discomfort, illness, or uneasiness whose exact cause is difficult to identify. Like I just felt under the weather. Like I didn't feel sick. I didn't have flu-like symptoms. I wasn't dying or like coughing or like feverish or anything like that. I just felt kind of crummy, like run down, tired, just kind of like just a little off from what I normally felt. And then within 24 hours, I was fine. So,
okay.
Yeah, I like that word.
And my mom, I texted her and said, any better today? She said, a little, just resting, no taste or smell.
Well, you know what? That's why I got my COVID test, because I just had a really, really awful sinus infection that went around our friend group. And I completely lost sense of taste and smell from my sinus infection because it was so bad. And I was like, do I have COVID? But both Cohen and I got tested and came back negative. It was just a run of the mill, shitty cold, and it's so scary because it's just we're like living in like constant fear of it being worse, you know, like colds and flus still super sucky. Like I've been sick for 2 weeks, like just a potato, unable to do much because like my whole face was just like, and then, you know,
Right.
thankfully.
Do you find that you've had any like not COVID fatigue, but just like fatigue from the pandemic in general, as far as like being as adamant on certain precautions compared to the beginning?
Not since we got vaccinated. I think the vaccine put me at ease a lot. Masks are like, I don't, maybe this is very controversial, but I don't fucking understand why people are so aggressive about the mask mandates. It's not that big of a deal.
Did you see that there's like been 5,100 assaults on flight attendants just this year during the pandemic?
And like the
Mask mandate?
highest quit rate in the nation ever, because people are quitting their jobs left and right because of mandates and stuff like that. It's not that, to me, it's not that it's really not that big of a deal. It like, not if you get like an actual like paper mask one, you know, like the actual like ones, the medical grade masks that are just like made out of paper. They're not like, you know, cotton or whatever. I barely tell it's on my face. Like, it's just, you know, not that big of a deal to go into Safeway and put a mask on. But anyways,
well, it's so funny you mention that, because I had posted when I got my booster on Fan House, and I had one of my subs DM me, and he was like, hey, you know, I just wanted to talk to you about the vaccine. Like, I'm not anti-vax by any means, but you know, he was telling me about how he's been in the US for most of his life and how he's like going up for his green card, but like one of the rules for getting his green card is that he has to be fully vaccinated, including the COVID-19 vaccine. And he was like, I don't know, it just feels like kind of forced. I don't really like the vibe that it's giving me, that I have to do it. Like, what do you think? And I replied, I'm like, dude, it is so not worth risking your green card over getting vaccinated. Not even that, but people forget that being fully vaccinated, this is not new, right? You have to be fully vaccinated to go to school. Hazel had to be fully vaccinated to go to daycare. Like, it's not just COVID. It's polio, it's measles, it's chickenpox. Like, this is a very normal standard thing.
Measles,
so I don't know why
mumps,
it's suddenly controversial.
whooping
You know
cough.
what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, babies are born and they're like, you need to get your Tdap. Like, if you want to be around a newborn, get your Tdap. Like, it's just, the concept is not new. I just think because it's so sensationalized right now in the media that it's become so polarizing.
Yeah. And Pi also brings up a good point too. He says biggest issue at the moment is the lack of vaccination progress in poorer nations around the globe because they don't have access to the same amount of vaccine doses. I'm fine with the booster shots, but would rather see a majority of those go to countries where the vaccination rates are low to reduce likelihood of COVID mutations. 100%. In fact, I think the World Health Organization made a statement about that, about how it's like unacceptable that so many nations, especially the United States, are handing out booster shots left and right when there are poorer nations that haven't even gotten their first dose. And it's like, what people don't understand is that the longer the coronavirus is around, the more likelihood that there are going to be more mutations. That's how we ended up with the Delta variant. That's why more people are dying and getting sick. Like, had we nipped it in the bud in the beginning and waited until the vaccine came out and not had these mutations occur, we would be seeing so many less deaths and less cases all over the globe. So it sucks that there's not like, and you know what I mean? It's not like I'm not going to go get my booster because poorer nations don't have it, right? Like, there's nothing I can do about that. And I still want to make sure that my son is protected and that I'm fully protected. But, you know, if I were the ability, I guess, to make those decisions, I think it's unacceptable. This isn't just like a United States issue. It shouldn't be the richer countries get their people protected first. It's a global issue. It's a global pandemic. You know what I mean?
But it is hard. It's hard because for me, I am very grateful for the booster for two reasons. The first
Mhm.
is because I got the quote unquote lesser of the 3 vaccines, right? So there was always
Mhm.
a worry about how much it really protected me and my son. And 2, like because I got the booster, I got a refresh of antibodies to Cohen, which again, babies under the age of 2 aren't allowed to get is it 2 or 4?
For which one?
Right now they just approved emergency
It's
up to 4, right?
5 plus.
I'm gonna look it
Unless there was another approval that I didn't see.
up. How old?
I think 5 to 12 is what they just approved with Pfizer. Also, Veronica, I'm reading this article that you just sent.
5
Holy
to
shit.
15, yeah.
The UK apparently threw away 600,000 vaccine doses after they passed the expiry date.
Instead of giving them to other countries.
What it looks like.
So,
yeah, they didn't donate the doses to poorer countries struggling to access COVID vaccines, and they just let them fucking expire. Unreal.
That is unreal. Mutual friend of ours who also has a baby recently went to a checkup, and they said that we can hopefully expect kids 1 through 4 to be able to get vaccinated by January.
Oh, see, Hunt's doctor said February probably, but still January, February. That's yeah, that's a big deal.
Huge deal. For me specifically, that will be life-changing for us because we have held back on so much for Cohen because I know historically children don't get as sick as adults and yada yada yada. There's a lot to weigh on either side of the scale for sure. But at this point, especially with the mutations and all that stuff, it just made more sense to us. You know, we don't need to put him into daycare. We don't need to do all this stuff. It just made more sense to us to like be more on the conservative side with him. And, you know, I am ready to have him meet other children and go to OMSI and to you know, go to play gyms and trampoline courts and shit like that. I'm really excited for him to get the opportunity to be vaccinated so that we can actually start like taking him places and letting him experience things and stuff. I mean, don't get us wrong. We the Oregon Zoo's an outdoor zoo and we've done stuff with him. We've taken him to the zoo and stuff, but like we've just been on the more safe side, conservative side with the stuff that we're willing to take him to. And I am so excited to get into daycare, like seeing him with Hayes and seeing him with, Hunt. You can tell like he really craves that like social interaction with other children and I just want him to have friends. I want my kid to have friends.
This was the age, because he's 11 months. This is how old Hazel was when we started daycare, and the main reason that we did it was because I wanted that social interaction for her, because back in Arizona we didn't have friends who had kids. Like I had one friend who had a kid and she lived about 35 minutes away and we only hung out with her a couple times. But everyone else, like Aria, but Aria's in Florida. Like she didn't have other kids around, which is the whole reason that we ended up in the Pacific Northwest was that she would have that. And so truly like seeing her with Cohen, it makes me excited because even with Hunt, she's like, I want to teach him to walk. I want to teach him to do this. And I'm like, sweetie, you totally can once he's at that point, but he's not going to be walking for a long time. And so, you know, now that Cohen's at that point, it's exciting to see them interact and to like encourage her, like Cohen's learning to walk. Hayes, like, why don't you go help him? And I know she enjoys that. And so I know that once he gets even just a little bit older, it's going to be so fun.
I think when Cohen hits around 18 months, I think he'll be like besties with Hazel because then they can just both run around and like do stuff. But I mean, even like at errands, like he was just so excited to like follow her around with his walker and stuff like that. Like he was like chirping and laughing and like following her everywhere she was going. So
I know. And Hazel loves babies. You know what I love is like how much she loves being a big sister. And that was really concerning for me because you don't know how your older sibling's going to react to having a new baby in the house. And like, I think we really made a focus of getting her excited and like reading books on big sister duty and like having her help paint his bedroom. And like, you know, she seeing the baby things around the house and her being like, oh, is that for baby Hunt? And like getting used to the idea far enough in advance that, like, I think I told you this when we came home from the hospital, she didn't even look at me.
Yeah.
She walked, her vision was like, I'm here. She just kept walking and went straight to the car seat to see him
Straight
and
to
immediately
the baby.
wanted to hold him. Yeah. And so, even now, like there's definitely moments, right, where Rick and I are very, I guess we're very careful, not specific is the word I'm looking for, but like intentional, I guess, about, you know, when she talks to us and one of us is holding the baby, like she has our undivided attention, right? I'm not like listening to her, but looking at my phone or looking at him. If she speaks to me, my eyes are on her and I'm listening and I'm responding to her. And, you know, making sure that when she needs something and I can't do it at that moment, if I'm feeding him, instead of saying, I'm feeding Hunt right now, I'll say, you know, my hands are busy right now, but as soon as they're available, I would love to do that with you. Or what do you want to do? And trying to say, like, yes, I can still do those things without saying, like, blaming her brother. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that once he's old enough too, and so then we've got like all three of them playing together, that's going to be really, really fun to see.
Well, shit, Brian and I have already had conversations about, you know, when we're going to start trying for our second, and that's very soon. So,
yeah. Is it sooner than you anticipated?
No, I mean, we've always said around 15 months is when we start the process, you know. I mean, I'm a little hesitant because I feel like it happens so fast the first time that like 15 months is really not that far away. So,
yeah, I was going to say, how do you feel about that?
I mean, again, I had such an easy pregnancy with Cohen. I'm not worried about it. Like, am I jumping up and down in excitement to be pregnant again? No, not really. But I'm really excited to have a second baby. Like,
yeah,
just even seeing Cohen with Hunt and like how excited he gets and how he reaches for his hand and reaches for his face, and every time he sees him, he smiles and chirps and stuff like that. Like, I just think I don't know. I just think it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard to have 2 under 2 or 2 right at 2, but I am really excited for them. Like, it's a really big goal of mine to have them be as close to 2 years apart as I can have them. So,
yeah. You never know. It could just be same thing as it was with Cohen, like right off the bat, boom.
But I honestly, if it takes longer, I would rather have that buffer of like having a couple months if it does take longer, you know, and then they're still very close to 2 years apart, then, or even if it takes like a whole year and it's like a struggle for us, at least we started early, you know.
That's what Rick and I did.
Yeah.
You know, like we were under the impression that because Hazel was a complete accident, that we would have a baby really easily and that it wouldn't be hard for us to get pregnant again. And that, if we got pregnant on accident, like trying is going to take 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was just first the 1 month went by and then the second month and then the third month, and it just kept going. And so you truly never know. So I'm really glad that, 1, we started when we did, and 2, honestly, Steph, I'm thankful for you because you were the one who encouraged me to reach out to my doctor sooner rather than later to be like, why am I not pregnant?
Yeah.
Because I was going to it's like, well, you say if it's a year, then you can start seeking help. And I didn't wait that long. I waited like 4 months, and my doctor took me seriously, and then we got started on the process. And then it really was the fertility doctor telling us like, you need to change your timing. Like that's the problem.
Well, but if you guys were just fucking and had no like, just, you know, you were so mindful of it though. You were tracking your ovulation, you were temping, you were doing all the stuff that you should be doing, and it still wasn't happening. I was like, okay, like it shouldn't be this hard unless there's something else going on. And I was like, there's no reason. They give you that number to hold hope that it'll happen on its own, but you don't. I was of the mindset of, you guys are ready and you have another child that's in the picture, and you want their kids to be a certain age apart. Like, you know, go talk to your doctor, just see if there's there's something you guys can at least have the conversation about. So
yeah. And it really made the difference because it was the first cycle after, like literally after we saw our fertility doctor, and he was like, you really should change your timing, and was like, don't have sex between X and Z, and have sex between right then, and then based on your ovulation. Like he gave us literally didn't need any treatment, and turned out that's what we needed.
yeah.
And it changed everything. Also, big shout out to Rogue General, aka Matt, who said, hello, reporting in live from Walgreens waiting area. Just got my booster.
Hey.
We love to see it, Matt. Well done.
We will always clap.
We will always hype up
the vaccine responsible.
Go get, yes,
We're
absolutely.
very pro-vax on this channel.
Yeah. Speaking of trying for babies, I got my period back. Yeah.
Isn't it wild how incredibly different bodies are? So do you have an IUD?
Nope.
Are you off birth control right now?
Yep.
Okay. So my doctor was very pro birth control like postpartum. She was like, you know what? I think it's really hard on moms' bodies to get pregnant back to back. Like I really it's my medical recommendation as your doctor that you go on birth control so that we don't have any accidental pregnancies until you guys are ready. And so she shoved that bitch back up my vagina about 2 months after I had Cohen.
Well, I intentionally decided not to get back on birth control, because, and you and I have talked about this, but we decided that instead Rick is going to get a vasectomy, because
which is absolutely reasonable.
I don't mean to get all feminist woohoo, like fuck the patriarchy on you guys, but my body's given enough over the years between like being pregnant for a total of 18 months and, breastfeeding my first for 17 months, still breastfeeding right now, like
pushing two babies out,
giving birth to 2 different humans. Like I'm done. And having an IUD, I had one between my kids. And if I were to get back on birth control, I would absolutely get it again. But it was really hard on me for the first, I bled for like 6 weeks straight after I got it in. And it was not fun.
Yeah.
And so, when we talked about it, even Rick was like, do you really want to get back on an IUD? Like, wasn't that really hard on you the first time? I was like, it was. Thank you for remembering.
Thank you for taking notes.
I was like, I just don't, there's no reason for it. Like,
and you guys don't want more kids. So it makes sense. This is
if we wanted more kids, that would be different.
Right.
But Rick and I are both very comfortable with the idea of one boy, one girl, we're done. Like we don't need any more kids. And that's where our family's at. We're comfortable with that. And so why would I continue to put my body through more and more and literally like change my hormonal balance again to stop my body from getting pregnant when it would literally take a 2-second procedure, like for Rick with a local anesthetic, snip, be done, and then we never have to worry about it again. Like, mind you, there's still a period of time between the vasectomy and when you are like free of the possibility of being pregnant. But like the fact that it is continuously still only on women and our bodies to avoid pregnancy versus, especially when we can only get pregnant for like a very tiny period of the month, and men can technically get people pregnant every single time they ejaculate. Like,
who was it? It was in our group chat. Someone sent a like funny video. No, well, it wasn't really. It was funny in context, but like a video about that was like, if men have the capacity to impregnate every single time they ejaculate. So if they got someone pregnant every single time they ejaculated, you can bet your fucking ass that men would be responsible for birth control.
Yep. 100%.
But no, it's us. It's us.
Yep, exactly. And it's true. Plus, if you do change your mind, most vasectomies can be reversed. Exactly.
Yes.
If down the road we're like, you know what, I miss having babies around, I want another one, then okay. And that's obviously a bigger deal, and we wouldn't be going through the process of a vasectomy if that was in our hindsight whatsoever. But, it's not like you're just, whereas if I were to get a hysterectomy or something, or
Right.
get my tubes tied.
My mom
Like,
got her tubes tied. That
My
shit
mom did
is
too.
that shit is
It's no joke.
no. It like destroys you for like
Mhm.
you're like on bed rest for like a whole month, dog.
Yeah.
Like it's really intense.
It's a full abdominal surgery.
Yes.
Like it is absolutely a huge deal.
Yeah.
Anxious Siren says, "Can you talk more about birth control? I'm so scared to get an IUD. Most women I know have had bad experiences, but my pill makes me crazy. I take progesterone, the lowest dose you can take." Here's my thing. Everybody reacts differently to birth control.
Very differently.
The reason that I got pregnant with Hazel is because I was not on birth control, because my body did not react well to the pill, which I had been on for years. And then eventually, between that and my insurance not covering it anymore, I was like, fuck this. I can't afford it and I don't want to do it, which was not a responsible decision. You should be on birth control of some sort if you are sexually active. I'm just putting that out there.
And not actively trying to get pregnant.
Yes, exactly. And so if I were to get back on birth control, IUD it's just the easiest option. It makes the most sense. It's literally this tiny little device. IUD stands for intrauterine device, and it looks like a little T, right? And it folds in. It's like probably that big.
Mine is smaller. Mine was really small. It's like that big.
Yeah, it depends on which one you get.
Yeah.
And your doctor just does the thing.
Well,
puts it up into your uterus.
Time out. So there's 3 different types of IUDs. Okay, there's the hormonal IUD, which is what I have, which is the Mirena or other versions.
Or Liletta or Kylena. There's a bunch.
There's the non-hormonal IUD, which is a copper IUD. So that's the Paragon, which is if you are really like hypersensitive to hormonal IUDs or birth control, the copper one is an option. So what it is stick it up in your uterus just like a regular IUD, but it's made out of copper, and copper is a spermicide. So sperm get anywhere near copper, sperm dies. So then that's how it prevents you from getting pregnant. The issue with Paragon is that a lot of women don't like it because aside from the lack of hormonal difficulties, like a hormonal imbalance you have from no hormones, it actually jacks up your periods to like tenfold.
Super heavy periods.
You get real heavy periods, and you can get really bad cramping. And I've heard that it gets better over time, but in the first year or two, it's like really tough, right? The other difference is the hormonal ones last. In the U.S., they're approved for 5 years. In Europe, they're approved for 7 years. The copper IUD is approved for 10 years. So the thing that's really nice about IUDs in comparison to other forms of birth control is that you shove that bitch up in there and you're done.
About it again.
It doesn't affect sex. It doesn't affect you. Like the reason why the pill is so ineffective is not actually because of its effectiveness. It's because humans are humans, and if you forget to take it at the same time every day, or if you forget to take a pill, or if you whatever, and you're constantly catching up and double dosing and all that shit, you just fuck it up, and you'll have a way higher chance of getting pregnant. So
that was my issue with it too.
The other option is the Implanon, which is this little like plastic bar that goes into your arm, but the big feedback I've heard with that one is you have a pretty high chance of getting like a kind of a nasty scar. You get like scarring because they're shoving a foreign object into your arm. So like I have a couple friends who have like a pretty bad like keloid scar from getting it cut out. So
yeah, ow, that sucks.
And
also the reason that I even brought up my period, this is not something that most people know. And so I feel like we should talk about it because I didn't know this until I had Hazel. But when you have a baby and you are breastfeeding, your body, as long as you are exclusively breastfeeding, typically speaking, your body doesn't ovulate. So breastfeeding acts as a natural form of birth control, an unreliable form of birth control. Do not use the fact that you're breastfeeding to not get on birth control. But it does act as a natural form of birth control for your body. So for about 6 months, typically. So you just won't get your period for like 6 months after having your baby. And That's why I'm so annoyed at the fact that I got mine back at 9 weeks postpartum, because I even looked it up, Steph. I don't know if I told you this,
Yeah.
but the earliest that people like the La Leche League and all these places talk about getting your period back is like starting to ovulate at 10 weeks and getting your period at 12 weeks. I'm like,
Yeah, but
I got my period at 9.
Your period has always been really wacky, though. Even like aside,
True.
you have short ass, you have fucking short periods, so
Yeah,
it doesn't really.
And well, that's what
surprise
pisses me. So that was, if you guys, we talked about this earlier about how it took a while for me to conceive Hunt. It was a combination of different things between myself and with Rick, but one of those things was that I have very short cycles. So typically, 28 days is standard for most women in their period cycles. And for me, mine was anywhere between 21 and 25. And so my window of ovulation was a lot sooner into and I knew that about my cycles, but it made the timing a lot more challenging to nail down, because some days it was like 9 days after I got my period that I would ovulate, and some days it was 12. And so yeah, my periods themselves, like I got it 2 days ago, and I'm pretty much already off of it already. So my periods themselves are really short too.
Well, so to your point though, I didn't get my period for months and months and months. And on top of that, I got my IUD like pretty much right away postpartum.
Yeah.
And before I got pregnant, when I had my IUD for like almost exactly 5 years, and I had very light like blips of periods when I was on the Mirena the first time. I just don't have a period now. I'm periodless. Woo!
I was never that lucky. Even when I was on
So
I had, what did I have? Liletta, I think, is one that I was on before.
That was a low hormone one, right?
It was a hormone one.
But was it low or was it?
It was about the same as Mirena. It was a little lower than Mirena. But yeah, Liletta, I still got my period. Like, fuck everyone. Who are these lucky bitches who just don't have fucking periods?
Apparently
Who are
it's
they?
me. Hey-o.
And Lexi doesn't have one either. And Lexi and I were on this. No, she was on Kylena. She was on a different one. But I was bitter. I'm like, these assholes.
Yeah.
Why do I don't have my period.
I actually don't like it. It actually freaks me out a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because again, my periods were so light. It was literally like a day. A blip. So light, and it lasted like a day or two max. And it was just like this check-in with myself where my body was like, you're not pregnant. And now I'm like,
That's true.
I'm like,
so am I? Like,
definitely peed on a stick once or twice just to make sure.
I was gonna ask you, have you?
Yeah, to make just because I'm like, where's my period? My period's gone. It's just gone. It's very unnerving, especially being like 33 and having it like my whole life. It's just like, where did it go? It's just weird, but have to say it's very nice. It's convenient as fuck. But yeah, like, so okay. If I could give any woman advice, it's this: don't ask other women their opinions, because everyone's going to have, like, if everyone based their opinions on IUDs based off my experience, every single woman on the planet would have an IUD. Because it didn't hurt at all. It took 3 seconds to go in. I had no side effects. I've had no side effects the entire time I've been on it, and I've been on it for years now. So my advice is this: really the first step, find an OBGYN that you really like, right? Because having a good relationship with your vagina doctor is a huge thing to having overall great health experience with it. 2, don't be afraid to try more than one, right? I feel like women think, oh, I got this IUD put in and now I'm stuck with it for 7 years. No, fuck that. If you are 2 months in and you're still like unhappy with it, whether it's weight gain or it's hormone like mood swings or it's XYZ, whatever it is you're going through and it's driving you crazy, or you're just not comfortable, or you're not liking it, there are so many other options to try that it's just no point. There's no reason for you to sacrifice and just be unhappy. Like, go find one that works for you and your body. And most women who have done that and tried a bunch of different ones end up finding one that they're like, I have no side effects, or I have very, very mild ones that I'm totally fine living with. And, you know, just don't sacrifice your daily mental health for birth control. Be willing to kind of put in the legwork to find one that works for you. Because I guarantee there's one out there. There's so many options now. And it might not be the one that you thought it was going to be. You might like, oh, everyone talks about the IUD and how easy the IUD is. Well, maybe try a NuvaRing. Maybe try something else. Like maybe the Implanon will work for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like just find an OBGYN that you really love though, because a good vagina doctor will go through the whole experience with you and you know, figure it out.
I also feel like that's really great advice outside of just OBGYNs. Like I really liked my OBGYN back in Arizona. I love my girl here. She like I could fucking go to cocktail hour with her. She's hysterical. I love her. But I also like I have a primary care doctor out here that I really, really like. I have like my therapist I love. It's so funny because I think that the providers that you're going to, no matter what kind of health specific category it is, whether it is mental health or vagina health or overall health, like it's important to have somebody that you really like because you want to trust them for one thing, like it's your body and your brain. But it's also easy to be like, you know, with therapy, for instance, it's so important to have the right therapist.
Yeah.
Because if you see the wrong person or somebody you don't vibe with, it's easy to be like, oh, therapy didn't work for me. Right. Or if you have your OBGYN, they give you a specific birth control and you go on this specific IUD and you're like, oh, well, IUD doesn't work for me because I tried Kylena and it didn't work and it didn't feel good or I had all these side effects.
Yeah.
So,
well, but not just that.
That's a
like,
really good point.
The thing about mental health, the thing about health in general is not everything is, oh, I have a cold, right? You have really big things that you need to talk to someone about that can be embarrassing, and you have to be vulnerable, right? Like what if you have, you know, some weird looking fucking rash or some fucking like big thing that's growing on your arm or whatever, and you're too embarrassed to go talk to your doctor about it? That's a fucking problem. That is a problem, right? I had a coworker that I worked with in college that had a lump in his armpit, and he was just like, oh, it's fine. It's not a big deal. My doctor's going to tell me it's just not a big deal, like blah, blah, blah. And it ended up being cancerous, and he died like 4 years later. So like, it's just find someone that you are comfortable telling your deepest, darkest secrets to, whether it's mental health or whether it's physical health. If you have a lump or a rash or you have something, like, don't ignore it, right? Yeah. Most of the time it's absolutely going to be fine, right? But if it sticks around and it's been a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and you're just putting it off because you don't want to tell someone about it, you don't want someone to look in an embarrassing spot on your body or you feel uncomfortable about it, that needs to change. You need to find someone that you are comfortable, you know, being vulnerable with. So take care of yourselves.
Especially in your private areas.
Yes.
Like, don't ignore
when I was younger,
whether you're a guy or you're a girl, whatever parts you have down there, like I know it's a vulnerable place to be in with another person, but like your health depends on it, literally.
Yes. I was really uncomfortable for a long time with OBGYNs just because it's just like, you know, it's your woman parts, you know, and like, it's not, you know, guys are just like you pull your waistband down and you cough or whatever. Like women, your fucking legs are splayed out in stirrups. You know, it doesn't get much more vulnerable than that. And they pull this giant light down that's just shining straight into your vagina cave, and you're just like, cool, you know, let's just take a look in there. And then they take spreaders and they shove that shit in, and they just go, what's in there? You know what I mean? Like, it's
vagina cave.
It's true. It's like they're going spelunking, you know? They fucking they just, you know, look around in there. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you just want to want
you to know I'm going to clip that and use that as a promo for this podcast to put on social media. When people wonder what happens on the Steph and Hayli show, this is exactly what you're in for. It's true though. I mean, I appreciate you putting it so bluntly. Like I had do you remember the varicose vein? Did I tell you about that? The varicose vein I had?
No.
So I you know, pregnancy is a weird thing, chat, and your body does weird shit. And I was what was I doing? Oh, I went to go get waxed. And I like was checking out down there, and I was like, I'm like, what is this? And I see like a black lump on my labia. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And my wax girl was like, I don't know. You should get that checked out. And so I went to my doctor. I was like, I don't know what this is. I know pregnancy is weird, but I figured I should ask because it's like, what if this is something to be concerned about? And it ended up being fucking varicose vein.
What?
Yeah. I didn't get them anywhere else on my body.
That being
I hadn't either.
You just in your legs,
she was
right?
like, I was like, maybe it's an ingrown hair. Like, I have no idea what it is. But sure enough, that's what it was. And she was originally, she was like, I think this might be like a cyst of some kind. And she's like, if it is, you know, like when you're giving birth and you're already numbed out from the epidural, like I'll take care of it. I'll drain it for you. And then literally in the middle of childbirth, she was like, nope, that's a varicose vein. I'm not gonna touch that.
Wow.
But that's another example of having a good relationship with your doctor. Was like, I was comfortable telling her that, and she would like, it ended up being a funny moment. We were like, whoo, like, all right. It wasn't awkward or anything. So
for me, it was when I went through my cervical cancer scare stuff, and my
you should talk about that, because I don't know that was so long ago now that I don't know how many people know about that.
So everyone, ladies, be diligent about getting your pap smears. I know they're fucking annoying, and back to the whole, this circles back, right? I feel like most of my friends who I've talked to who've lapsed on their pap smears do it because they just don't want to go to the OBGYN. Go find one that you like. Go talk to 10 doctors if you need to. Find one that you like so that you will stay on top of your pap smears, because I think it's 1 in 5 adults have the human papillomavirus. Males are the carriers. 1 in 5 males have the human papillomavirus. They're the carriers and they show no symptoms. Women, however, when they get the virus, usually end up getting some form of symptom from it. So one of the side effects of the HPV virus can be abnormal cells. And if they continue to mutate without being checked out, they can turn into cervical cancerous cells. So there's
a vaccine for it that you should all get,
which I like just missed the bubble. So like when HPV vaccines were coming out for teenagers, I was like 21, and so I had just missed the mark. And so
were you only allowed to get it at a certain age?
They recommend you get it when you're like 16.
Yeah, I got mine right when it came out.
Yeah, and you're older than me or younger than me, so it makes sense. Like I was
probably around the same time.
They were like, "Well, you're just a little too old now." So I didn't get the HPV vaccine, and you know, I got my yearly pap, and it came back, and it was like, you have abnormal cells, so we're going to do a biopsy, send it to the lab, and see what it says. And they came back as SIN 3. So it's there's SIN 1, 2, and 3. SIN 3 is like the step down before they turn to cancerous cells. So I had to get what it's called a LEAP procedure, which is where they take. Oh, it makes me cringe.
So we should put out a little like trigger warning before you explain what this is. I know what it is, but for people who may not,
if you get queasy about like surgery and stuff like that, maybe mute for a little bit. Okay, so what they do is they take a wire that's in a shape of a loop, and they put an electrical current through, and they basically go into your vagina up to your cervix, and they just scrape off the first layer of all the cells. And then you just cross your fingers and hope that they got all of them, all the bad ones. And it's fucking, let me tell you, it's fucking traumatizing, dog. Like, it's just, you're sitting there. Obviously, they have to list all the side effects and consequences or whatever. And, you know, you're like
signing like your life away on all your documents, I'm sure.
But the one that sticks out, I know I was 31 years old. The one that sticks out to me is like, you can have a much harder chance of, it can be much harder for you to get pregnant because you're fucking with your cervix, right? And you know, she kept encouraging me. And again, I formed a bond with my OBG because of this. She was like, you know, there is a chance. I do have to tell you that there's a chance, but you're so young, you're so healthy. She's like, I really don't foresee it being a problem for you. We just need to take care of you now first. Let's take care of you now first, and I will be here every step of the way. If it becomes a problem down the road, we will figure it out together. And I was like, okay. And so, you know, I'm in the fucking room having the procedure done. I'm like hysterically crying. I'm like, and I'm not a very emotional person. I have an insanely high pain tolerance. And it wasn't just that. It was just it was so heavy on me that it was like, I have to choose between possibly getting cancer. Like anytime someone says the C word to you, it's just really hard not to freak out. And I didn't have cancer. I don't have cancer. I've never had cancer. But all the building blocks were in place. And if I just ignored it and didn't do anything about it, it would turn into cancer.
Right.
And it was just so fucking heavy, dog. It was so heavy. And so I'm sitting there getting the procedure. And it's really, again, trigger warning. It's really intimate and really intense, and you can smell the burning flesh. You can hear the zzz in the fucking device that they're using. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's my baby maker. My baby maker's gone. Like I can't even imagine what it would actually be like to go through and get a full-on hysterectomy, because there's just something truly intrinsically tied to your identity as a woman with your woman parts, right? And they're different than man parts. It's just, you know, man parts.
All internal.
Yes, they're outside of your body. You get to play with them. You get to see them. You get to interact with them on a daily basis, right? Women parts, It's all inside. And especially like fucking with the chance of you becoming a mother when that's something I've always wanted to have kids. I've always wanted to be a mom, and you know, us knowing people and especially you going through those 10 months of trying to have a baby. And I know what that did to you. I was there for it, and what you went through and how fucking hard it was on you. Like just like going into that knowing that it was even a possibility. It was so fucking emotional. It was really hard. I like kind of got super depressed for a little bit, and it was just a really hard time for me. So after you get that procedure, you have to have 3. So you usually get your pap smear once a year. So I had to get my pap smear every 3 months, and you have to have 3 normal paps, and then you're considered clean bill of health. Like you're cleared. We got all the cancer cells. It's not, you're good. Right. And now I'm once a year. It's normal for me. Just to make sure that they don't come back and all that stuff. But like, I remember every single time getting those paps and just like sitting there and being like, please, 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 please. I mean, and again, that's why I am a little bit older when we had our first, because I had to wait. Like the procedure was a full year, and then I had the 3 checks. And then after I got clean bill of health, she took me off birth control, and then she said, I want you to wait at least 1 full cycle before you try and get pregnant, so that blah, 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 blah. So it was like, it took a lot of time. It was, you know, it wasn't just like, go get pregnant. It was like, we have all these things that we need to do before.
Steps.
We green light A-OK you. So.
And what's crazy is that you said it was 1 in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like, we know other women in our friend group who have had the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly, like, I very clearly remember getting my HPV vaccine at 16. And I was like, the doctor was explaining it to me and to my mom, who was with me, and was like, I really recommend that you get this. And my mom was like, yes, give it to her. And however much I hate injections, I am so glad that my mom made sure that I got vaccinated for HPV, because that's just one huge, the fact that you can, it basically lowers the risk of you getting cervical cancer so significantly.
And the fact that it's so rampant. Deal. Look at CDC, the CDC website says 43 million HPV infections were reported in 2018, most among people in their late teens and early 20s. And it says men don't have symptoms. Most men who get HPV never develop symptoms, and the infection usually goes away completely on its own. However, HPV does not go away. It can cause genital warts for men. But for women, it causes cervical cancer, and it's far, like, if you get HPV as a woman and you're not vaccinated against it, the likelihood is like very high that you'll get some sort of abnormal cell growth is what it is. So
yeah.
But yeah, so like a mutual friend of ours also got the same basically issue that I had, where they got a pap smear in it and they flagged for abnormal cells, but they had SIN2 or 1 or something like that. And so their doctor was just like, this will probably resolve on its own, so we'll just keep keep
an eye on it.
but most likely it'll resolve on its own, and it did. So I was just unfortunate enough that it turned into a riskier one. So
it's just I remember so clearly you going through that, and I'm so happy that obviously everything worked out and that you came out the other side and were able to conceive so easily. But it's really crazy to think about. Like, you need to take care of your body and take care of your health, and you need to go get pap smears and checkups and make sure that everything is healthy.
During my pregnancy, we had to like double be extra cautious about my cervix because you know I've lost an entire layer and part of.
Were you higher risk for miscarriage because of that?
No, I was higher risk for preterm labor because there's less cervix.
Right.
So basically, I'm like already like 5% effaced just off the bat because there's less cervix there, right? So the chances of me not being able to get pregnant were very low. The thing that was more concerning is once I got pregnant, going into labor early was the thing that they were worried about. So
was the way that they like kept an eye on that just through your regular checkups to make sure that your cervix was still closed?
Yeah, usually she just checked it a lot earlier than normally you would, just to make sure everything was going good. Yeah,
I think I got my first check when I was 37 weeks. I think was when they did it. I think they offered it at 36. And I said no, because when your cervix is that posterior, it hurts like a bitch to get back there because you've got a huge ass baby weighing you down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 37 was when I got my first check.
I think I got mine first checked at 34 because they just, want to make sure it's all good. And it was. And then, which is hilarious because like you were so effaced so quickly.
Both my kids.
I was dilating normally, but I wasn't. He wasn't
facing.
Like, it wasn't like dropping down. So and thinning
Yeah,
out.
my doctor got my hopes up with my what is it called? The membrane sweep. Yeah. So if you guys don't know what a membrane sweep is, it's basically, I love that we're just talking like so adamantly about all the nitty gritty parts of women parts, but it's when you're pregnant and your OB will basically separate, like stick her whole hand up there and separate the bag of waters from the uterine wall. So she'll like go up through the cervix and run a finger around it to get those hormones circulating, which can in turn trigger labor. And so I had that done when I was pregnant with Hazel, and it's basically it works half the time. It doesn't work half the time, right? And so what basically, if it works, within 48 hours you'll be in active labor. And so with Hazel, it was like right at the 48-hour mark I started having contractions. And so my doctor, I mean, mind you, I was 39 weeks and 5 days when I got it with Hazel. I was like, or something like that. I was about to be full term. And with Hunt, I got it done, I think at 38 and change or something like that. And she was like, oh, you're 80% effaced. You're already 3.5 centimeters dilated. Like this could very easily trigger you into labor. Like, I think I'm going to see you in the hospital in 2 days. Like she was gassing me up. And so I'm like, oh my God, am I about to have my baby early? Like freaking out.
I was dilated and she was like, let's do it. And boop. And nothing happened. I was so disappointed. I was like, fuck.
So fucking sad. So sometimes it worked with Hazel. It didn't work with Hunt. Had to get, Steph and I both ended up getting induced. Except mine was by choice.
Mine was, I regret not taking her advice and doing it 39 weeks. So now, okay, so just so you guys know, the whole 9 months pregnancy thing is bullshit. You're actually pregnant for like 10 months.
40 weeks.
You just don't know it for the first month. So like it kind of doesn't really count. But you're actually, there's a baby inside of you for 40 weeks, which is, 10 months. And so the board of OBGYNs, the big people who kind of make the the gold standard or the rule of thumb or benchmarking shit for whatever go. The new thing is within the last 5 years, maybe even sooner, is like a lot of OBs are saying there's no medical reason for the baby to need to be in the womb, as long as it's a normal pregnancy and they're the right amount of weight, and if you've had, everything's been good up to this point, there's no reason for mom or baby to be pregnant past 39 weeks. It's actually much harder on the mother to continue to be pregnant, because by that time your baby's literally gaining almost a pound a day, or like half a pound a day or something like that. So you're just setting yourself up to have more tearing, more trauma when you push out a bigger baby. So they say, as long as everything's good, we recommend inducing at 39 weeks if you don't
go into labor by then.
And so she was, my doctor was really like, let's do it. I am a believer, like 39 weeks, we should do it. And I was like, nah, it's my first kid. I have faith. I'm going to go into labor right on his due date.
Of course.
No. So I had a induction scheduled 2 days after my due date, height of COVID, and ended up getting pushed 4 days. So I was 39 weeks and 6 days. So he was I was 40 weeks and 6 days. So I was almost 41 weeks pregnant. Yeah.
Yes.
And so he was originally, we were guessing he was gonna be like a 6 pound baby, and he almost came out an 8 pound baby. And I ended up having to go into active labor for 4 hours because he was so big he got stuck. So I'm really wish I had listened to her and gone into labor a week earlier, because I think it would have been maybe just a little easier.
Can you imagine if I hadn't induced early?
No, I cannot imagine. What if he came out an 11 pounder?
I would die. I would have had to have a C-section. There's no way I could have pushed out an 11 pound baby. Like, my doctor said they let you try up to 11 pounds, but I don't know. My body's really good at making babies and pushing them out, so maybe I could have done it, but I would have hated everything. I would have had a crazy tear. There's no way you can push out an 11 pound baby and have no tearing.
Yeah,
at least me.
Second kid, if 39 weeks rolls around and we have a happy, healthy baby, you bet your booty I'm getting induced at 39 weeks.
Especially because your second baby may just be... So it's funny. There was a girl who I was in spin classes with when I was pregnant with Hazel, and her due date was 1 day before mine. Like, we were almost right on the money. Same progress with pregnancy. And we both had girls, and she ended up giving birth a week after I did. So she didn't get induced. She wanted all to be natural. So Hazel was 7 pounds, 3 ounces, and her daughter was 7 pounds, 10 ounces. So a full 7 ounces bigger. And so sure enough, we both get pregnant again. We're both having boys. She was a little bit farther behind me this time, but she just posted that she had her baby the other day. And I don't know if he was on time or late or early, but Hunt was 9 pounds, 2 ounces, and her son was 9 pounds, 10 ounces. Yeah.
Every extra ounce after 9 pounds just makes my body like shiver.
Yeah. So I think there's some science there that if it's your second baby, and if your second baby's a boy, he's going to be a lot bigger. And so myself and her name's Avery, she and I both are living proof that is often the case. Yeah. Like, both our daughters were in the 7s and both our sons were in the 9s. And had I not gone in and induced early, he would probably have been 10 maybe even closer to 10.
100%. I have no doubt he would have been 10 pounds.
That's crazy. Oh my God. I'm so glad I induced. I'm lucky I got in. The fact that yours got pushed back 4 days.
And it sucked because it was like, you went in at 6 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a call at 4:30 in the fucking morning. I was like, we're sorry, we don't have room for you. We'll call you back at 2 p.m. And then I have to wait I already be like jacked up on Mountain Dew because I was so anxious. And then I got like maybe 2 hours of sleep, and then I'd be up the whole day waiting for the phone call, waiting if I was gonna get in, and then they'd be like, nope, sorry, tomorrow at 6 a.m. And then it happened like 4 times, 2 days. One morning, one afternoon, and then I got in the next day. So,
God, COVID, man, that's the shitty part about it. It's not even just the people who are sick with COVID, but also how it affects everybody else trying to get into the hospital for things like this or things that are worse. Like, I don't know. I feel very lucky that I was able to get in early and not have any issues. Because they even told me when I was there, they were like, yeah, had you literally had it scheduled the next day, we wouldn't have been able to get you in. Like, we're completely full. There's no open beds.
Mm-hmm. That's how it was.
So shout out to the stars aligning, the universe, whoever was in charge of that. I'm glad that we were able to make it in.
Yeah.
Balder goes, I mean, you pushed him out at 9 pounds in like 10 seconds with no tear. 11 pounds would have been no issue. I don't know, man. Two pounds more, that's a big fucking
Big
kid.
baby.
That's a big
Well,
baby.
9 pounds is still a big baby.
Yeah, so pushing him up to 11.
Dude,
it's not often you hear about 11-pound kids.
I cannot believe your kid is 14 pounds already. Like, that is so fucking bonkers.
That was last week, too. So maybe I kind of want to bring him over to your house and wave again. Just for fun, just to see.
Sponsors.
But he's pretty much outgrown 0 to 3. He's pretty comfortable in 3 to 6 clothes now.
Cohen is, like, we really stretched. Because I have a hard time with, like, the kids growing out of the stuff so fast because
I know
they really just don't wear it for long enough, and
they wear it like 3 times.
It's so expensive. But so we squeezed him into his 6 to 9 month stuff as long as we could. But it's just it's just way too short for him. They're definitely like pulling at the shoulders, and at the feet. But 2, he's such a fucking psycho that he's like crawling everywhere like a speed demon. He's ripping holes in all of the knees. Yeah.
No way.
Yes. He has holes in the knees of at least like 3 or 4 like sleepers now, and I'm just like, Jesus. So I ordered like a whole new set of 12 to 18 months PJs. One of them should be here today, and the other should be here Friday. And he's gonna give me 12 months stuff. He's like right on the money.
Do you want to tell everyone about Cohen's birthday party plans? Have you talked about that at all?
No, I don't know if we're gonna. I think I'm gonna wait until we actually have it, and then just announce it with pictures.
Okay, that'll be cute.
Because the thing I don't like announcing stuff is everyone loves to just then flood you with their opinion and ideas, and I get really overwhelmed with stuff like that. So I like to just keep things a secret and then be like, look at how cute it is, and then people are like, oh, it's so cute, instead of being like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Have you thought about doing this? Why don't you do
That's all the shit we got from naming our kid Hunt.
Yeah.
Like literally so many of my family members, especially my sister. Oh my God, what a fucking bitch. She was like, oh, well, everyone's just going to call him Hunter, right? Like everyone's going to think his name's short for that. And just like going in on how that was like a bad name choice. And same thing with Hazel. Like so many people didn't like Hazel's name when I told them in our family. I'm like, get over it. It's not your kid. How about you accept the fact that that's their name and that's it. I don't know. And that's the biggest reason that I was glad we waited to tell the internet too.
Yeah.
It's just because like once the baby's there, that's his name. I really don't care if it bothers you that his name rhymes with something else.
Most people won't have the audacity to say something once the baby's in the world. Once the baby's there. Yeah. Which is, again, why we also waited. And I'm very grateful that no one was rude in our family when we announced the name to them. They were all very cute about it. They're like, oh, that's... I could tell some of them were like not super into it, but they were not rude about it. They're like, oh, I've never heard of that one before,
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Then they'll eventually accept it. It's like, okay, and
now they love it. Everyone loves it. I mean, he's Coco. Like he doesn't like.
I know.
There's no other name for him. It so suits him.
I know. Same thing with Hunt. That's his name now.
Well, all your friends immediately jumped on the name. Like we all loved it from day one.
That was so funny. I remember talking to you and Lexi in that group chat, and you were like,
that's it,
that's his name, that's his
one.
Name, like his name's Hunt.
There's no other option now at this point. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, I toyed with it. I told my chat this too because I was like, well, like, are there other, like, let's just make sure we're set for sure on this name. I was open to having him be Ricardo the Third, with the condition that his nickname would not be Ricky, because like Rick was Ricky as a kid.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing when you're Ricardo and Ricky, like those are 2 different names.
Right.
But Rick and Ricky is like way too similar.
Yeah.
And so I said I would have done it with the condition that his nickname could have been Rocky. I thought Rocky was really fucking cute. Yeah, I would have been totally down for that.
I like that. That's cute.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, it's like Rocky Balboa. They both, Rick and Ricardo, both have the same issue with it. And I was like, what fucking ever, you guys. If you want to name the kid after you, that's my condition. If you don't like it, his name's Hunt. And so that's what we kept it at. But Rocky would have been cute too.
That would have been cute, yeah. Well, I mean, now that we are actively having the conversation about having our second, we pulled out, last night or 2 nights ago, Brennan and I pulled out the baby name list, and we were like, what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? What about this one?
That's so cute.
There was a moment where I paused on Hayes, Hayes. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a cute name. Why do I like it so much? And Brennan looked at me like I was fucking idiot. And he goes, Hazel? And I go, oh, Hayes. We call Hazel Hayes. Okay, that's why
that's her name.
That's why I like Hayes. But like, I definitely like had a moment where I was like, Brennan, Hayes. What a cool name.
Like, that's a great name.
Yeah, and he was like, no, we can't
To be fair, I did the same thing. When we were looking at H names for boys, I came across that name too. And I was like, oh, that's sick. And I was like, oh, that's literally my daughter's name. That's probably why I like it so much.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, we can't name our second.
I know. Hunt sounds badass. Thank you. So that was, Rick mentioned that too. He's like, babe, we gotta raise him to be like he basically implied like to be a cocky kid, like knows he's badass. I'm like, listen, Rick, our kid's not going to be that asshole, okay? He's already going to be a big dude because genetics. He's already handsome as fuck, and he's got a sick name. I'm not worried about him. Like, we're not going to feed up his ego and turn him into one of those, like, I know I'm hot shit little asshole kids. So get it together. But thank you. I'm glad you think Hunt sounds cool, too. Hopefully the rest of the world eventually does as well. Even if you don't like it, you can get over it. It's my kid's name.
True. That's the truth.
Can we just talk about how 2 hours has like flown by the way?
I know. It always ends up like, and we always end up talking about the same. We always end up
it's different every time. It's the same but different.
It is.
We try and put together like a run of show and like things we're going to talk about. And then we end up just talking. Well, to be fair, we did say we were going to talk about like kid updates and life updates. Yeah. And we did do those things.
It's true.
It now just my happened to spiral into
my kid is walking. My kid is walking.
Have you posted the video anywhere?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Brennan and I have been very private about Cohen stuff.
Okay.
My personal rule of thumb is I don't post anything with Cohen unless I'm also in the photo. Like it's a group photo. Like I at least don't post like Cohen by himself ever. I have a private Instagram account for Cohen. But that's just what I feel comfortable with. Brennan will post Cohen stuff on his stories and stuff, but we had the conversation, so he's better about not posting on his feed. But I just, and a big part of that reason to me is like kind of what you went through with like that weirdo account. Like it's just, that
account is still there, by the way.
There's just too much weird on the internet for me to really want to actively put a lot of Cohen content out there. I mean, I might feel different when he's a little bit older, but just right now, he just doesn't have the ability to say no or yes. And it's just for us. It's, our baby's 100%. For us. So.
Well, and I remember the first time that Rick and I had a conversation about that, Hazel was like, she was standing in her crib. And I used to do this thing where I would go into her room and like when she first wake up, like, good morning. It was so cute because she was always so happy. And everybody on Instagram loved it. They were like, oh, I love these. They make my day. But he made this comment. He was like, I just don't like that the first thing she sees when she wakes up is a camera in her face. And I was like, oof. Yeah, you are right. Like it was like a smack in the face. And I never did it again after that. I just never did. And so now I have very intentional conversations with Hazel. Like I don't really put her on my stories anymore. Just after that whole thing happened with, so if you guys don't know, there was an Instagram account that was impersonating me that still, girl's an idiot because she keeps making it with different usernames, but she makes her like actual name that you can search people on the same every time. But she uses my photos every single time. And she also uses photos of Hazel. And so she will go into my stories and screenshot. Yeah. And then post it to her own stories. Like it's very weird. But photos from a long time ago. And I'm like, this is fucking weird. And so I've had her account taken down several times and she just keeps remaking it. So I keep getting it taken down. That's the most that I can do. But she's 3. She's old enough that I can have those conversations with her and be like, hey, can I take your picture?
Yeah.
And sometimes she'll ask me, she'll be like, take my picture, mommy. You're like, take a video. Or I'll take her picture. She'll be like, can I see?
Mm-hmm.
And so it bothers me when even family, other people who will like Ricardo, sometimes when he comes to visit, he'll just turn around and open the camera and be like, Hazel, and then she'll turn around and see it. And I can see her being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so I always make an attempt to, like, if she's doing something cute, like holding Han, I'll be like, can I take your picture? And she'll be like, sure. And then I'll take it. She'll be like, can I see? And then I'll show her the picture. But the internet's a weird place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I get that. I understand why people decide whether or not to post certain content of their kids and all that. And I think that, it's a personal choice for everyone. And, I've changed a lot of my content with Hazel because of things like that, just to realize that, there's only so much that you can do.
Yeah.
And so,
and I don't think it's realistic for me. And we have some friends, we have a mutual who literally her kid's face is nowhere on the internet. Like she intentionally puts like smileys over his face if he's in a picture and stuff like that. Just won't show his face for security reasons, that I 100% empathize and get that. But for me and Brennan, we are both streamers who work, and there's sometimes there is not an option. I just need Brennan to hold the baby for me for 5 minutes while I'm finishing dinner or something like that. And so he's going to be on our stream. He's going to be in our stuff. But again, I just feel like ease of access, convenient. Like the people that are going to be fucking weird are going to be fucking weird no matter what. But like if I can control how easy it is to access that stuff versus, living photos that live on an Instagram feed are there at the top, on demand whenever you want, any day, right? To go through and troll through my entire like 7-hour stream and find the part where and then clip him and then like all that stuff. Like if you're gonna go to those links, you're gonna go to those links, right? But I just don't want people to like be like, oh, I'm gonna create this fake account. Here, I'm gonna find their Instagram account and I'm gonna just take the 30 pictures that they have posted, rip them off, and like make my own thing. Like it's just weird. So.
Well, and also like the other thing to consider is like a lot of I was talking to my stream about this the other day. Twitch is not my primary form of income anymore. Like, it's just not, right? I don't stream enough for it to be my full-time gig with Hunt Around now. And most of my income now comes from social media, like mainly Instagram. And so my brand on Instagram is I am a family influencer. Like, that's my job is, like updating people on my pregnancy and like, what it's like to be a new mom and like the struggles of toddlerhood and like raising 2 kids, like all these different things. And so it's also a tough thing to balance when it's literally like your job, but also making sure that you're being respectful of the content that you're putting out. Like,
right.
I had a video when I first announced that, or like my Hazel's birth video, I published it, and in the beginning of the video and the end of the video, I posted vlog footage. And at the end, there was a recording of her when she was getting weighed. And I didn't even really process it when I was uploading it because I'm like, she's a baby, right?
Right.
But she was naked. And once I really started processing like the internet's not all sunshine and rainbows, like there are weird fucking people out there, I went back and I privatized the video. I was like, I don't want that out there. Like it's still her body. Like she was a baby. She can't say whether or not she wants that out there. Or a lot of kids like, bath time stuff where like kids have no shirt on or stuff like that. I just don't put that kind of stuff. There's no reason for it. Like my kids are cute without being in the bath or anything like that. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of like line to walk to figure out what is the right thing to do and how to balance what you're comfortable with.
Right.
But yeah, now that Hazel is old enough to say whether or not she's okay with having her picture taken or having her video taken, I feel a lot better about it. Now it's weird for me if people don't do that with her.
Right.
Just because like she's not a baby. She's a full functioning human and she can decide for herself if she's comfortable with something. And so that's also part of the struggle of toddlerhood is like they are so insistent on their independence and making their own decisions and doing things themselves that you just kind of have to learn to figure out what that means for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
it's a struggle, man. But yeah, you just have to be respectful of that. I'm sure Cohen will be at that point sooner than you know it.
Fuck. I like for some reason I just envision toddlerhood being like 2 and up, and everything I'm reading is like you're a toddler at 12 months. And I'm like, fuck.
Technically speaking, yes, he'll be a toddler at 12 months, but he's still a baby.
I know, but he's gonna be able to say no soon. He's gonna be able to run soon.
When do kids really start saying no? Let's see. Every toddler begins to learn no as a part of developing their own independence and personality around the age of 2. It's actually a good thing, as they are learning to develop their own free will and beginning to realize that their desires aren't always the same as their parents.
Yeah.
So you still have another year before the going gets real rough. They say terrible 2s. I say bullshit. I think 3 is way harder than 2.
Yeah. Most parents who have toddlers that I've talked to have said terrible 2s like get you like in the mindset, and then 3s really fucking hit, and you're just like, God damn.
I just hope 4 isn't worse.
I don't think so. I think 4 and 5 is when it starts getting better, and then 6 you have elementary school, and it's just different.
Yeah, that's a subject I would like to save for next week, because I have some thoughts on school, because Rick and I have been talking about it. Because Hazel's, if you guys don't know, Hazel is in a Montessori style school, and like Montessori is very different from just standard educational schooling. And so we're debating about what we want to do as far as putting her in public school, or how long we want to keep her in Montessori and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a whole topic. We should definitely talk about it next week.
Sure. We'll do
I'm
it.
down.
But we should wrap up, because I'm starving, and I have
Me
to.
too.
I have to tap.
Wait, do you want to go to
out.
lunch?
Well, Cohen has to go down for a nap at 2 because he woke up early.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm really hungry too, though. Food
well,
sounds
we can maybe make the same thing. Be like eating together.
Lunch together, just separate.
All right, I love you.
All right, wait, you do our wrap since I did our intro.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. If you want more Steph and Hayli Show podcast content, you can head to my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/femsteph, and all the VODs get uploaded there. Otherwise, we are really trying to do Monday mornings. We're going to be flexible between 10 and 11 a.m. depending on mom duties and how the kids are doing and stuff like that. But Mondays are podcast days, so we hope to see you guys next Monday. But follow us on social media, Instagram and twitter.com/HayliNick, or Instagram and twitter.com/femstuff. Our ats are right here on the screen. If you guys have any suggestions for topics that you'd like to hear, make sure to leave them in the comment section, or tweet us on Twitter. And we will do our best to talk about the things you want us to talk about. But thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you guys hanging out and participating.
We love you all very much.
So much.